As the curtain raises, a lone performer is revealed. My self-proclaimed extraordinary awareness for my surroundings is immediately replaced by total mental saturation of disbelief. Disbelief, and only disbelief, for a long, long moment. My breathing is steady and my body is still as I reel my thoughts in for evaluation. The man revealed behind the curtain speaks. Slowly, his words begin to infiltrate the select stimuli allowed into my currently perceived world.
Again, thank you for coming, ladies and gentlemen. I realize this is an exceptionally peculiar hour for a magic show. But you'll soon find, as I imagine you're already anticipating, this is an equally peculiar magic show.
He raises his hands as if lifting an invisible platform, and two spotlights brighten in matching pace. The stage is barren, with the exception of some soul-draped monolith in a corner, and two grand shadows of the magician now cast on the stage wall. He lowers his hands back to his sides slowly and deliberately, and it appears that one of the shadow men behind him follows his actions more slowly than the other.
My name is Malvern Camrar.
I knew this man, not as Malvern Camrar, and I didn't know him well in the sense of knowing what his dog's name was when he was a child, or whether he prefers blondes or brunettes. We weren't even friends. But I did know him well. Well in the sense of knowing exactly what he was made of knowing he could work with calm, steady hands while the entire world around him was bleeding to death or exploding, and knowing how he faced death. He served as a stretcher bearer, a medic just as I did, rushing forward with the troops for the first time. And he died as a medic. It wasn't my habit to comfort men as they passed. It never seemed prudent to waste precious time on lost causes. As it happens, after an undoubtedly mortal wound to the spine, I had to lift him off another injured man. In that moment, he died in my arms.
Malvern Camrar, the master of shadows.
His shadows morph into larger figures with devilish horns and crisp, fluttering peaks emanating from the shoulders, like black flames.
I won't burden you with conventional tricks that build toward a climactic finale, nor will I squander with any further delays. For you, I have prepared this single spectacle.
He crosses to the cloaked device. His shadows follow, one step behind. He pulls the prop to center stage. Though the object's shadow matches its form, his shadows become first pillars and then elongated pyramids.
Ladies and gentlemen, I give you death. In this instance, as made famous by revolutionary France.
A communal exhaltation of awe is voiced by the audience.
I will require the aid of one volunteer from the audience. Is there anyone present with a medical background? What type of experience do you have, miss?
I was a nurse, a boarding school nurse for 3 years, before I was married.
I see. And in your 3 years as school nurse, how many patients in life or death peril were subject to your treatment?
None, sir.
I don't mean to belittle your professional history, but aid training is not as relevant for our purposes as is familiarity with mortality. Does anyone here believe himself to be well-versed in such life experiences?
For a long moment, no one moves or speaks. Considering direct confrontation summons anxiety, I push it aside as I have my fright and confusion, and instead concentrate on curiosity, on bringing curiosity to the surface. That is an emotion I'm comfortable with exhibiting. I was a medic in the war.
Ah, then you have both. Would you join me on stage, sir? I'll ask but one favor of you, sir. Oh, your jacket. Would you mind removing your jacket first, please?
As I comply, I wonder if he recognizes me, though that seems the trivial question of the situation. Malvern rolls his sleeves back, so I emulate his preparation.
Very good, sir. Now, all that I ask of you is to check my wrist for my pulse.
He holds his arm out. It is unmistakable. Under face-to-face review, I can see the very scar above his right eye from a gash I personally stitched closed.
Can you feel my heartbeat, sir? Excellent.
He pulls away and then steps off stage briefly. He returns with a wooden stool.
I'll ask that you continue to monitor my heartbeat while I execute this trick.
He pats the seat twice, beckoning me. Through the entire performance, his shadows continue to defy him through off-time reactions, independent movements, and shape distortions. Often, one shadow will precede his action, while the second follows a beat behind, like ballet choreography. Rhythmic and beautiful, though they move to the horrific guillotine and, pulling the cord hand over hand, draw its blade toward the peak. Malvern strains as though the blade is heavy and won't budge, but when his shadows assist, they manage it more easily. As the last of the steel withdraws from the neck clamp, a metallic vibrato, like that of an unsheathed sword, pulses through the room. Many of the onlookers quiver. Several have captivated faces. Others shake their heads with suspicious smiles. One man kneels and searches with his eyes, trying to identify a clue to how the trick will be performed, a mirror, trapdoor, or the like. From where I sit, I can detect no such tools. Though their faces speak loudly, the room is perfectly silent. With the blade raised, the Malvern trio, man and shadows, lock it into the triggering arm.
Once I'm in position, I'll ask our friend to once again update you with the status of my heartbeat. Then I will engage the device. From experience, I've learned that for both our sakes, it's best to conceal my head, neck, and shoulders with a covering. We wouldn't want to ruin any of your elegant wares. Particularly yours, sir. There is nothing special about this material which would alter the damage of the blow. Please trust that in a few minutes there will be no question of that fact.
The hood is long, with ample excess that bunches into a pile around his neck. He lies on the bed of the device, face down. I believe this is authentic. In the event the blade is unable to cut clear through, it's better to cut the spine for instantaneous death than to cut the throat and risk death from bleeding out. Malvern extends his arm to me.
My pulse again, please.
It's a good, strong pulse. A little elevated from before.
Adrenaline, I suspect.
Please continue to monitor it.
Everyone in the crowd is holding their breath. Malvern reaches with his other hand to the triggering arm, and with no delay, he grabs and jerks it back. The blade is swift. It drops in an instant with a slicing wisp. There's barely a difference between the sound of its cutting of air or its cutting of flesh. It's smooth and crisp emotion and stops with only a slight collision, hardly indicative of the blow it delivers. Malvern's head drops to the floor, along with half of the hood material, cleanly cut from the rest. It bounces once, up a foot, then lands and proceeds to roll over twice before the slack in the material retards the momentum. These thuds are the first audible sounds in the room since he spoke. I pay close attention to my fingertips. On the moment of impact, the pulse ceased. I adjust and wait for another beat. I detect none. I expected the heart to have a few residual beats, simply carrying out the last message the brain sent to the muscles. I was desperately honed to this in my attention and could not have missed it. His arm is now limp weight in my hand. As my other senses seep in, I pronounce the verdict.
Dead. He's dead.
No one notices my declaration. The crowd has panicked. Most scramble in the dark for the exit. I stand and without thought release Malvern's arm. It raps thunderously against the floor. When the sound echoes back amidst the screams, it draws my attention back to Malvern. I look down upon him, his head 4 feet from his body. The hood wicks the bloodshed. Stains travel upward in the material. That's the second time he's died in my hands.